No, all the people of the land of Canaan were afraid of the Israelites. They had all heard about the wonderful works God had done for his people. Instead of trying to fight against them, the people of Gibeon pretended to be from a faraway country and asked for peace with Israel. They offered to be their servants so they wouldn't be destroyed. So let's read Joshua 9 to 10. Deception by the Gibeonites. Now it came about when all the kings who were beyond the Jordan in the hill country, the lowland, and on all the coast of the great sea toward Lebanon, the Hittite and the Amorite, the Canaanite, the Perizzite, the Hivite, and the Jebusite heard about it, that they met together with one purpose, to fight with Joshua and with Israel. The inhabitants of Gibeon also heard what Joshua had done to Jericho and to Ai, but they on their part acted craftily and went and took provisions for a journey, and took worn out sacks on their donkeys, and wineskins that were worn out, split open and patched, and worn out and patched sandals on their feet, and worn out clothes on themselves. And all the bread of their provision was dry and had become crumbled. And they went to Joshua at the camp at Gilgal and said to him and to the men of Israel, "We have come from a far country. Now then, make a covenant with us." Yes?
Is lefty loose and ready tight?
Yes. Okay, but listen to this. Focus. And they said to him, "Your servants have come from a very distant country because of the fame of the Lord your God. And for we have heard the report about him and all that he did in Egypt, and all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites who were beyond the Jordan, to Sihon, king of Heshbon, and to Og, king of Bashan, who was in Ashtaroth. So our elders and all the inhabitants of our country spoke to us, saying, 'Take provisions in your hand for the journey, and go to meet them, and say to them, We are your servants. Now then, make a covenant with us. This bread of ours was hot when we took it for provisions from our houses on the day that we left to come to you. But now, behold, it is dried and had become crumbled. And these wineskins with which we fill were new, and behold, they are split open. And these clothes of ours and our sandals are worn out from the very long journey.' So the men of Israel took some of their provision and did not ask for the counsel of the Lord. And Joshua made peace with them and made a covenant with them to let them live, and the leaders of the congregation swore an oath to them." So what does the word deception mean? The title is Deception by the Gibeonites. What does deception mean? What do you think it means? So the inhabitants of Gibeon, what did they do? This whole verse 3 to verse 15, what did they do?
They lied.
They lied. So deception means
The devil lied to God and the devil and I have patrolled the city.
I don't understand.
In Superbook.
In the Superbook? Okay. So deception means lie, right? So they were lying. And did Joshua and the elder ask God before they make a covenant?
No.
No, they didn't. Was that a smart idea? No. So what do we need to do first before we make decisions?
Ask God.
Ask God. Good job.
And ask parents.
Exactly. Parent can give you advice. God will lead. However, it came about at the end of the 3 days after they had made a covenant with them that they heard that they were neighbors and that they were living within their land. Then the sons of Israel set out and came to their cities on the 3rd day. Now their cities were Gibeon, Sephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim. But the sons of Israel did not attack them because the leaders of the congregation had sworn to them by the Lord, the God of Israel, and the whole congregation grumbled against the leader. But hold on, let me finish this paragraph. But all the leaders said to the whole congregation, "We have sworn to them by the Lord, the God of Israel, and now we cannot touch them. This we will do to them, even let them live, so that wrath will not be on us because of the oath which we swore to them." So the leaders said to them, "Let them live." And they became gatherers of fireworks and labored to draw water for the whole congregation, just as the leaders had spoken to them.
Mommy.
Yes, go. Hold on, They was first.
I need to do the rest.
Okay, go. Yes, go.
Did the 5 kings attack Gibeon?
Not Gibeon, other kings, right? The right here, the Lebanon, the Hittite, Amorite, Canaanite, and Perizzite, Hivite, Jebusite, those kings.
But it said over here.
Oh, you're right. We're not there yet, but yes. So I thought you were talking about up here. Up here, they come together to fight Joshua.
And did they fight Joshua and the other army of Joshua?
Let's read on and find out, okay? But let's wait for Tite to come out first.
Now it came about when...
No, we're still on 22.
Oh, where are we now?
We're right here.
Then Joshua called for them and spoke to them, saying, "What have you deceived us, saying, we are very far from you, when you are living
within our land."
Really?
Yeah. Now, therefore, you are cursed, and you will never cease to be slaves, both gatherers of firewood and labor.
Reading for me.
Yes. And labor to draw water for the house of my God. So they answered Joshua and said, "Since your servants were fully informed that the Lord your God had commanded his servant Moses to give you all the land and to destroy all the inhabitants of the land before you, we feared greatly for our lives because of you, and did this thing. And now behold, we are in your hands. Do to us as it seems good and right in your sight to do." This he did to them and saved them from the hands of the sons of Israel, and they did not kill them. But on that day Joshua made them gatherers of firewood and labored to draw water for the congregation and for the altar of the Lord to this day in the place which he would choose. He, capitalized, is God. Yes?
So I'm talking about Jericho.
Okay.
So the Joshua and Jericho, shout for the Lord had given you his your city.
The city this day, right? That's what Joshua said, right? 5 kings attacked Gibeon. Now it came about when Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had captured Ai and had utterly destroyed it, just as he had done to Jericho and its king, so he had done to Ai and its king, and that the inhabitants of Gibeon had made peace with Israel and were within their land, that he feared greatly, because Gibeon was a great city, like one of the royal cities, and because it was greater than Ai, and all its men were mighty. Therefore Adonizedek, king of Jerusalem, sent word to Hoham, king of Hebron, to Piram, king of Jarmuth, to Japhiah, king of Lachish, and to Debir, king of Eglon, saying, "Come up to me and help me, and let's attack Gibeon, for it had made peace with Joshua and with the sons of Israel." So the 5 kings of the Amorites, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon, gathered together and went up they with all their armies encamped by Gibeon and fought against it. Like you said, the 5 kings went against Gibeon, right? Because Gibeon wanted to make peace, be Israel's servant. Then the men of Gibeon sent word to Joshua at the camp of Gilgal. Yeah, saying, "Do not abandon your servants. Come up to us quickly and save us and help us. For all the kings of the Amorites that live in the hill country have assembled against us." So Joshua went up from Gilgal, he and the people of war with him, and all the valiant warriors. And the Lord said to Joshua, "Do not fear them, for I have handed them over to you. Not one of them will stand against you." So Joshua came upon them suddenly by marching all night from Gilgal, and the Lord brought them into confusion before Israel, and he struck them down in a great defeat at Gibeon, and pursued them by the way of the ascent to Beth Horon, and struck them as far as Azekah and Makkedah. And as they fled from Israel, while they were at the descent of Beth Horon, the Lord hurled large stones from heaven on them as far as Azekah, and they died. There were more who died from the hailstones than those whom the sons of Israel killed with the sword.
How much did they kill it?
It didn't say, but more was killed. So the Israelites fought some, right? And they killed some. But the ones that ran away and the Lord ran hailstone on them, they were killed. This amount was more.
Is this the army place?
Yeah, over here they fought. And over here is sort of the hailstone. Okay? That's what I visualized.
Did the army got killed in the army?
Probably there were people who died, yes. Then Joshua spoke to the Lord, and on the day when the Lord turned the Amorites over to the sons of Israel, and he said in the sight of Israel, "Sun, stand still at Gibeon, and moon at the valley of Ajalon." So the sun stood still and the moon stopped until the nation avenged themselves of their enemies. Is it not written in the book of Jashar that the sun stopped in the middle of the sky and did not hurry to go down for about a whole day? There was no day like that before it or after it, when the Lord listened to the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Then Joshua and all Israel with him returned to the camp at Gilgal. Isn't it interesting? Joshua asked God for the sun to not go down for a whole day, and the sun didn't. He asked God for the sun not to move, to stand still, and the sun heard Joshua and accepted his cry.
Do you think the sun is God?
No.
And then how can the sun hear without any ear?
I think God told, it's not that the sun listened or not, it's did God made somehow the sun to stand still. There are many theories. For example,
God made everything on earth.
Yes, for example, one way is that the earth slowed down its rotation, and maybe it stopped rotating for that day. Right? But then that means that God would have slowed down the rotation gradually even before Joshua prayed that prayer. There's many theories about it, but we know that God did it, right? God listened to Joshua at that moment.
God listened to Joshua and God told the sun.
No, I don't think the sun has ears to hear, but God made it so. Maybe he stopped the earth rotation. Maybe he did something that it happened that way.
Did he hold it?
He might have. We don't know what he did. The thing that makes most sense to me is he somehow slowed the earth rotation so that the earth stood still.
Yeah,
which looks like the sun stood still, but in actuality is the earth that's still. So victory at Makkedah. Now these 5 kings had fled and hidden themselves in the cave at Makkedah, and it was told to Joshua, saying, "The 5 kings have been found hidden in the cave of Makkedah." So Joshua said, roll large stones against the mouth of the cave and post men by it to guard them. But do not stay there yourselves. Pursue your enemies and attack them from behind. Do not allow them to enter their cities, for the Lord your God had handed them over to you. It came about when Joshua and the sons of Israel had finished striking them down in a very great defeat until they were destroyed, and the survivors of them who escaped had entered the fortified cities, that all the people returned to the camp. So Joshua and Makkedah in peace, no one uttered a word against any of the sons of Israel. Then Joshua said, open the mouth of the cave and bring these 5 kings out to me from the cave. They did so and brought these 5 kings out to him from the cave. The king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, and the king of Eglon. Then they brought these kings out to Joshua. Joshua called for all the men of Israel and said to the leaders of the men of war who had gone with him, come forward, put your feet on the necks of these kings. So they came forward and put their feet on their necks. So Joshua said to them, do not fear or be dismayed. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord will do this to all your enemies with whom you fight. So afterward Joshua struck them and put them to death. And he hanged them on 5 trees, and they were hung from the trees until evening. Then it came about at sunset that Joshua gave the command, and they took them down from the trees and threw them into the cave where they had hidden themselves, and put large stones over the mouth of the cave to this very day. Now Joshua captured Makkedah on that day and struck it with its king with the edge of the sword. He utterly destroyed it and every person who was in it. He left no survivor. So he did to the king of Makkedah just as he had done to the king of Jericho. And he did this because God told him to. Okay, God told the Israelite to do this to the inhabitants because they were evil. Or this is God's judgment on those people. Should we do this?
No.
No, to our enemies?
No.
No, what should we do to our enemies?
We should dodge.
We should pray for our enemies. Okay?
Why?
Because that's what the Bible tells us to do.
Don't pray for bad enemies, like evil enemies.
We should still pray to them that they will change their way. Remember, they can change their action.
But they don't.
We still pray for them. Okay, should we become close friends with them?
No.
No, but we can still pray for them.
But
okay?
what happened if they don't? Even if we pray all the time.
We continue praying. That's what we're supposed to do. So this is very, very specific in Israel timeline, in Israel journey, that God told them to do this. This is not how we are to act today. Joshua conquest of southern Canaan. Then Joshua and all the Israel with him passed on from Makkedah to Libnah and fought against Libnah. And the Lord also handed it over to Israel. With his king, he struck it and every person who was in it with the edge of the sword. He left no survivor in it. And so he did to its king just as he had done to the king of Jericho. And Joshua and all Israel with them, so then this is like he pretty much left no survivor in other cities. I'm not gonna read that part. Okay?
Why are you not reading that part?
Because it's just more cities and more places that Joshua conquered. Okay? And so we are now going back to our Bible. The people of Gibeon lied. Oh no! Okay. The people of Gibeon lied to trick Israel to make peace with them. What did Joshua and the leader of Israel forget to do?
Ask God.
Good job.
They also forgot to ask Jesus and God. Because Jesus is God.
Yes, but Jesus wasn't born yet, so they didn't know about Jesus yet. As punishment, what work did the people of Gibeon to do to serve Israel?
Cut down tree.
Yeah, so gather firewood, and what?
Mama, fires.
And draw water. Gather firewood, draw water, and what else? I think one more.
No more.
Labor. I think some kind of labor. So verse 23. So they... Nope. 23. Where is it? Right here. 23. So slaves gather a firework and labor to draw water. Okay, labor to draw water. Gather